Hello Kaiju fans, welcome back to the Kaiju World Order. My name is MM, and as you can see, I am freshly shaved. Well, not really freshly, it's been a few days, but yeah, the beard was getting a bit too big, and woke up and I was like, yeah, it's time to cut this fucker off. It'll grow back. I'm just a little self-confident. But Kaiju fans, more important matters here. Lots of new merchandise. Who would have guessed? Toyfair, Wonderfest, there's been an absolute shitload of new merchandise that's been revealed. Not just at these conventions, gatherings, whatever you want to call them, but also just on other websites that focus on Godzilla and Kaiju, such as YMSF and Titanic Creations. And so, let's just get right on into it. We're going to start with Playmates here. And Playmates hasn't revealed any new classic Toho Kaiju, so like, no Megalon or anything like that. But new MonsterVerse figures. Finally saw the Ion Dragon. It looks okay. I think it would look a lot better if the plastic was molded in jet black opposed to gray, and maybe the red wing membranes would be a bit darker in color, or maybe even translucent. It would look so much better. But even then, Ion Dragon, that's it. There wasn't anything really much more you can expect from that character. And then also Titan X. Saw this coming. I didn't think we'd actually get one so soon, but a Titan X actually getting a figure to tie in with Monarch Season 2. It looks pretty cool. I want to see more, not just of the toy, but of the design itself. There appears to be a severe lack of joints or articulation, whatever you want to call it, on the Titan X from Playmates. I believe this is just a prototype, though. It might not even be in a plastic. It might just be resin or whatever the prototypes are made of. Ignore that sound. That was my PlayStation. But yeah, Titan X looks pretty cool, and we're also getting Ion Dragon along with it. And it seems we might also see some reissues of, like, the Frostvark, which was, like, the last wave I think they did. But that's it for Playmates for the MonsterVerse. And then, just before they lose the rights near the end of the year, Playmates is also rounding out their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Godzilla crossover figures. We had already gotten 3, well now we're getting the Jet Jaguar, the Mechagodzilla Shredder, the King Caesar Splinter, and I think that's it. Yeah, 3 of them. So, the Mechagodzilla Shredder is actually my favorite of the designs here. It does look pretty cool, as does the King Caesar Splinter. Having Splinter as King Caesar is really one of the correct choices I feel they've made here. Jet Jaguar as a turtle, I think is a waste. It should have been Casey Jones, but what can you do? Either way, I will be picking these up. I already have the other 3. I did not open them, and I'm probably going to keep them packaged because I just got a gut feeling that these figures are going to be some of the ones in the future that everybody talks about and nobody has. Kind of like the Doom Island Trendmasters figures. With Playmates losing the license to, I believe, Mattel next year, these figures are going to be pretty much a one-and-done run. We got about 1 year to pick these up, and that's about it. And then we also saw more of their Godzilla vs. Power Ranger figures. Now, we saw these before. I briefly touched on them in another video, but we knew we were getting the Red Rodan, the Green Godzilla, and the Blue Anguirus. Well, now they are rounding it out with all the rest of them, including the Black King Caesar, the Yellow Baragon, and the Pink Mothra Rangers. No sign of the Kaiju Chaos Rangers, or whatever they were, that had like Destroya for the red, and Ghidorah, and yeah. The surprise here is that we saw Godzilla with the Dragon Zord armor. And this looks, it's Godzilla wearing Dragon Zord armor. It's pretty cool looking if that's what you're into. Again, I'm not a big Power Rangers fan. I'd rather see the Kaiju Megazord than the Godzilla with the Dragon Zord armor. but still, it's going to be something cool and very unique to have on the shelf. And with them doing that, it gives me hope that maybe we'll see the Kaiju Megazord. And also, just going back to the Turtles just for 1 second here, I really wish they would have done a 2-pack of the Bebop and Rocksteady fusions with Gigan and Destroya. Even though I wish it would have been Megalon opposed to Destroya, having those two as just your bad guys alongside Mechagodzilla Shredder, I would have gladly bought a 2-pack with that. Or hell, even a set of Foot Clan soldiers based on, say, Kamacuras or the Exilians or anything like that. Would have loved it. But that's it for Playmates. Bandai really hasn't shown anything off, so there's nothing to really talk about there. But Spiral Studios, I'm going to touch on that just because they showed off a Godzilla 1998. And personal feelings, or whatever you want to call it, about Spiral Studios and how they conduct themselves with their customers aside, the statue looks nice. And I think it also is shedding a bit more light on what's going on with the Godzilla 1998 rights in America. Can we actually have figures of the 98 Godzilla, or does it have to be Zilla? Who fucking knows at this point? As soon as we hear one thing, someone else comes out and, oh, well, now I can call it Godzilla 98. But then 3 weeks later, there's going to be another toy company revealing a Zilla figure that's clearly 98 but called Zilla. So, who knows at this point? I don't really care. We're getting Godzilla 98 merch regardless. I just wonder why we can't get the Movie Monster series figure over into the States, and why that is just floating around as a Japan exclusive if Spiral is able to get the rights for the 98 movie and do merchandise for it in America. Makes no fucking sense. But here we are in 2026 with still rights issues over characters like this. Blows my mind on how companies just don't keep this shit organized. And Godziburst. Godziburst is a line that's relatively new, and it is blowing up very quick. They revealed a bunch of new repaints and figures for their line, including a new gimmick where it appears you can take little pieces from one another and put them on another. So that means if you want to have, say, a Space Godzilla with like a turtle shell that appears to come with a special Godzilla 2000, now you can do it. Never knew I wanted to do it, but now I do want to do it, so I'm probably going to be picking all these up. Thankfully, the Godziburst stuff is relatively cheap. It's normally less than $10, so it will not be hard to get a little collection going of these things and making a little monster army of Frankenstein kaiju. Still no sign of the giant condor, which we had saw in a ad, commercial, whatever you want to call it, for this line a few months ago. But hey, at least we finally saw more of the Plasma Space Godzilla and another version of the Meltdown Godzilla 2000. And then Super 7. The Ultimate Shin Godzilla, we saw it in hand now. It wasn't a publicity shot, and it looks a hell of a lot better than whatever that was we saw a few months ago. The tail is huge. The only thing I'm seeing some maybe worrisome things with is the teeth on the closed mouth version. It just seems like the teeth are way too bright. But this might just be me nitpicking this, because really, how else are you going to do that? The open mouth version and the beam version, it looks pretty decent for what it is, but with the beam being purple, I don't know why they really included it, unless they were planning on just also reissuing it with a purple version with the spines purple and glowy purple bits. But yeah, I definitely won't be using it. Really, I'm probably going to skip this release despite it looking so good, if only because I want a glow-in-the-dark version. Give me a glowy Shin Godzilla with glowy green spines and glowy green patches and a glowy beam and everything, and I'll be happy. I'll gladly put that next to my Super 7 glowy minus Godzilla and Shogun. And then that's really it for the Ultimates, but we did see some more stuff with the reactions, including a bit that really grinds my gears. I'll get to that in a few. But we did see Space Godzilla, and I gotta say, the face on the reaction Space Godzilla just looks pissed off. I love it. And then Little Godzilla. Looks like Little Godzilla. Not much to really say about. And Mecha King Ghidorah. Again, nothing really to write home about. We knew what it was going to look like without even seeing it. But I gotta say, the Mecha King Ghidorah's eyes, I love how they got the eyes with blacks opposed to whites, and then the actual red pupils and everything. It really helps the figure look good, even though it might not be correct. But then for the stuff that has me a little annoyed, and that is the Monster Island blind box. A blind box set that is based specifically on Son of Godzilla. So you have a Godzilla 67, you have a Minya blowing smoke rings, you have a clear Chase Minya, and then we have Kamacuras and Kumanga. Godzilla 67 making his debut in reaction form in a blind box, I don't care about, alright? We're probably going to get that in carded release. If we don't, we don't. It's Godzilla 67. But Kamacuras and Kumanga, we're getting more Showa reactions finally, but now they're blind box, and I can't fucking stand that, because I really don't want to buy a whole bunch of boxes of these at 15 bucks a pop and get a handful of Minyas, no Kumangas, and maybe 2 Kamacuras and a Godzilla. I hate gambling like that. It'd be different if there was a way to actually buy these opened officially, or even if they would put, say, a carded version of these as exclusive on their website. So, hey, maybe they don't want them shelf warming at Target. Buy one off of super7.com and you'll get the same exact mystery box with the carded release. That's all I want. I probably will end up picking up this whole set. I have some friends that do get the mystery boxes, so I'm sure I can cherry pick off of them and give them a couple extra bucks per one. But it's still just disheartening. And then if we don't see carded versions of, say, Kamacuras and Kumanga, you already know what they're going to say. Oh, well, the mystery boxes didn't sell well enough to warrant a carded release. I don't like the mystery box shit. I don't mind mystery stuff, like packs of cards or something, when it's only like $7 or so. But mystery box figures at 15 bucks a pop, that's half a tank of gas in today's economy. Alright, I don't want to do that. I just don't. If I play a lotto ticket, which is very rare, I always only get like the $1 or $2 ones. I think max maybe $5 if I'm feeling extra spicy that day. But anything more than that, it's a waste of fucking money in my eyes. So, yeah, that's my rant on blind box Kamacuras and Kumanga. I'm not happy about it. They better do us right and give us some carded releases, and if not, and if I hear them say, oh, well, they didn't sell well enough, well, you set yourself up for failure if these do not sell well enough to warrant the manufacturing of carded releases, as far as I'm concerned. Titanic Creations. More happy stuff. So, I mentioned before how I'd gotten an email, and it will include Reptilicus, Konga, and the Giant Claw for the 2026 releases. But now, we just got some actual work in progress for their Reptilicus. Now, this Reptilicus is going to be like a lot like their Pulgasari, where it's officially not official. And what I mean by that is Dope Pope, who is the Kaiju fandom famous 3D modeler and creator of Kaiju like Tiamat for the Monsterverse, he sculpted Reptilicus and put his own little flair on it, so it can actually be its own thing while still being Reptilicus. So officially it's like Reptilicus, kind of like how Pulgasari was Pulgazari, but it still looks like Reptilicus. You can tell it's Reptilicus. The only way you can really not tell is if you're a diehard that just looks too far into shit like I do. You show this to somebody else who might know what Reptilicus is, and yeah, it's fucking Reptilicus. No signs of like accessories and stuff yet, but we do know it'll have some sort of pole to allow the flight mode. And just based on the other figures they've done, I'm expecting some sort of little acid spray effect for its mouth. couple buildings. I'm just hoping the buildings they include are based on Copenhagen and not just generic buildings. I know why they did it with Paul Gasseri, with that movie taking place in medieval Korea. But there's some cool shots of Reptilicus in his debut movie that I feel they should just use some Copenhagen buildings for the designs. Maybe even include like a little person that can be hung up in its mouth, recreating that infamous scene from the movie. And kind of staying on these more hidden companies like this, YMSF has shown off a new Godzilla 1962. I'll probably be skipping that, if only because I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting a movie monster series figure. And I already have the classic YMSF figure with several different color schemes. And then a new giant octopus, which is very welcome. This octopus seems to scale a lot better with their other figures and other Bandai figures, and is more or less based on the prop opposed to just the generic giant octopus that the other one was. And finally, Godzilla 1998 cartoon version is getting a re-release at YMSF. It should be out any time now. And this will just be based on Godzilla 98. It looks pretty cool. Can't wait to have it. I have a few of the other YMSF Godzilla 98s based on different color schemes, including a Godzilla the Series one. But this will be the first figure I actually get in my collection to be based entirely on the cartoon. And it'll look really nice with the YMSF Komodo Thrax I got. Normally I don't cover these, but there were so many that were revealed or talked about that I'm going to anyway, and that is the CCP middle-sized figures. Again, these are like those, they're more higher-end reactions, more or less. They're the same size, not super detailed, not super painted, but they're fun little figures, even though they cost almost double the amount of reaction these days. So I have slowed down on getting a lot of these, and I specifically only like getting color schemes and glowies. So there's a lot of sculpts now that I just haven't picked up because I'm waiting for a specific color scheme that I like. But anyway, they have shown off a new Biollante in Godzilla 1989, a Titanosaurus, and I believe that's another Heisei Godzilla. I don't know exactly which one it is. It looks like 89, but I'm not sure. Titanosaurus is really welcomed. Makes me hope for a Mechagodzilla 75 with the missing head. Then they've also shown off unpainted samples of Final Wars Gigan, both with claws and chainsaw hands, along with solicitations for Gamera Rebirth. They will be doing the actual Rebirth Gamera and Super Gals from the very end of the series. This will actually be the first Rebirth Super Gals figure I believe we're getting. Everything else has just been based on Gals from the very first episode of Rebirth, with nothing ever really being done for that long-necked, super crested Gals from the final episode. So it'll be at least nice having something for that. And then they also showed off, well, they didn't really show it off, but they mentioned a Virus to go along with some of their other Showa ones. But the actual surprise is no doubt the Godzilla Netflix anime figures they're doing. They will be doing Godzilla Phileas and Godzilla Earth. So, I don't know. I'm surprised the Netflix anime is still getting figures released, even if it just is for the Godzilla, especially with Singular Point being way more popular and way more in demand. But, hey, it is what it is. If this means we could get, say, a CCP Void Ghidorah or Mechagodzilla, I'll be happy. I would definitely be picking them up. And finally, the last thing I just wanted to bring up real quick and shed some light on is a new figure art for the Valkanus Armor Ultraman Omega. I do not have a figure art of Ultraman Omega yet. I'm still kind of just debating which one I want to get. I know I want to get the armored versions, but I don't know if I want to get the Rekinus armor or the Valkanus armor. It's going to be one of those two, and they both look great. I like the armors and I like the weapons on each. I'm kind of leaning the Wreckiness armor, if only because I think the blue and the red clash very well opposed to the all red gold armor of Valkanus. But yeah, that's it. I don't think I'm missing much. If I am, it's going to be stuff that's just way out of really my price range to really pay attention to. So yeah, I plan on this is going to hurt the wallet, no doubt about it. There's a lot of stuff here, but hopefully this will just be the last of it now for a couple months. I'm sure we'll get some more stuff sprinkled in here and there, but this would be the juicy stuff for all the big sellers for the next probably good half year or so. At least leading up into Supernova and -0. And speaking of -0, I know there's been some more leaks this time for that movie, and I will cover them in another video as soon as I figure out what exactly is going on. I've heard some interesting things. I've heard some things that I'm pretty sure are 100% fake, and I'll talk about them in the future. But until next time, Kaiju fans, peace out, and Minya, take it away. And god damn, do I miss my fucking beard.
Godzilla says you should like and subscribe.